This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio. In association with Haversley, experts in the sale of lettings, estate agency and block management businesses. If you're thinking of selling now or in the next 5 years, get in touch. They're a friendly bunch at haversleygroup.com.
Welcome to the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show here on the New Horizon Radio. A little bit about me: book lover, yogi and dopamine dresser. And on today's show, I'm going to be working with Cineworld, reviewing the latest Brad Pitt movie, which is called F1, working with Waterstones, talking about Luke Evans' amazing memoir, my visit to the V&A to see the Cartier exhibition. All my years living in London, I never went to the V&A. What an utter Philistine. What am I up to this week? Well, I'm very glad it's cooled down a bit, but as I was prepping my show, I was sitting on my cat's Frozen match. He's not in the least bit interested in it, but oh my God, it has really cooled me down. And let me tell you, frozen peas in the bed do not end well. Don't try that at home. I've got a huge concert that I'm going to at Chelmsford Festival, where my son is performing with his boy band, but more of that later. Very excited about that. And I what else am I up to this week? I'm seeing physio for my very dodgy knee, which again in London, climbing 1 million steps yesterday was not much fun. But I'm really looking forward to this show. And working with Waterstones, I am talking about this amazing book, Boy from the Valleys, Luke Evans, My Unexpected Journey. What a beautiful memoir. I mean, I do find some autobiographies a little bit self-indulgent, and also sometimes if they're written by obviously very high-profile people, I do feel like they're probably written by a ghostwriter or a journalist. But this felt really authentic, and I felt like I could hear him writing it, if that makes sense. I could hear his voice. It was a really great read. I didn't really know that much about him because he's famous for sort of being in The Hobbit, and I saw him in Beauty and the Beast, and I've recently watched The Pembrokeshire Murders, which is a true story, and he's great. He's a very versatile actor, but I knew him more for musical theatre. He's first and foremost, he was a musical theatre star. He was in Rent and Miss Saigon, and Avenue Q, but then he did, as I say, did The Hobbit, Beauty and the Beast, Fast and Furious, and Dracula Untold. So that's when he hit the big time, hit Hollywood. But what's so interesting about this book, he was growing up he grew up in a small village in South Wales, and his early life was shaped by the fact that he was a Jehovah's Witness, and his parents were devout Jehovah's Witnesses, and a very different life to what you would imagine, he has now. But from an early age, he felt this sort of sense of displacement because they have to go around door knocking and sort of trying to get people to join the religion, really. And for a young boy, that's not a really very normal way to live, actually. And I think that the most difficult thing for him is that he knew from a very early age that he was gay, and Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe in homosexuality. It is absolutely forbidden in the Bible, and they do take their version of the Bible very literally. And it was very difficult for him to sort of keep this to himself without wanting to, not wanting to shame his parents. And he loves his parents, and they are the most amazing parents. But ultimately, he did have to come out and sort of face the music, so to speak. But in this whole journey, he sort of discovers his passion for singing, acting and performing, and as I say, starring in some of the biggest West End shows. And then he went to Hollywood, and he was quite open about being out, and he was one of the first sort of leading men in Hollywood to be out and, sort of be proud of it, but not actually sort of banging the drum. Just, he was out, and it was no big deal. And he plays gay and straight parts, absolutely brilliantly. But I think the difficulty for him was telling his parents, and telling his mum, and how she took it, and then telling his dad. And obviously growing up in the Welsh valleys, sort of very sort of macho kind of culture, and it was just very difficult. But his mum, when he told his mum, she sat on this information for 2 years, and then he was going to be the press were going to do some big expose, even though he was quite sort of open about the fact that he was gay. And then she had to tell his dad, and really difficult. And Luke was excommunicated from the church, which he was fine about, but again, it was about the shame that he felt with, letting his parents down. But it is incredible. It is an intimate memoir. He takes us through the scenes of his career on the stage and screen. He writes beautifully of the relationships he now has with his family and the respect they have for one another on their different paths. Luke's story is a powerful tale of resilience, courage, and the pursuit of finding a sense of belonging and identity, and hopefully importantly, a story of inspiration. And it really is a story of inspiration. And he has hit the big time, but at no one point does he feel does it come across that he's big-headed or he's on some giant ego trip. He's very honest and open, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. And I feel, as you should with an autobiography or a memoir, that is so personal that you get to know the person more intimately. And I will watch his body of work differently now, because I know the sort of the turmoil and the sort of torment that he had to go through to get to this point. But it's a beautiful read. Boy from the Valleys, Luke Evans, An Unexpected Journey, available at Waterstones, Milton Keynes. And I went to see the new F1 movie at Cineworld, Milton Keynes. And what a delight it was, I have to say. I was never like the biggest Brad Pitt fan, but I have to say he has aged like a lot of men, beautifully, like a fine wine. I don't know what age he is. He must be in his 60s now, but he looks good. And if he's had work done, he's had it done well. His face is very expressive. And the premise is that it's set in the... he's an ex-racing driver, and in the 1990s he was the most promising racing driver in the world until an accident on the track nearly ended his career. 30 years later, the owner of a struggling Formula One team convinces his Sonny, which his name's Sonny Hayes, to return to racing and become the best in the world. Driving alongside the team's hotshot rookie, Sonny learns that the road to redemption is not something you can travel alone. But what a cast! What a cast. Honestly, I say Brad Pitt is fantastic as the has-been racing driver who just kind of, he's super cool. He just turns up. He's a bit of a cowboy. And then he's racing alongside this rookie driver who is excellently played by Damson Idris. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant actor. And he's sort of young and kind of a little bit full of it, and he's the rookie, and he really resents sort of this old man, and he calls him old man in a press conference. It's all very disrespectful, and he's obviously got access, as in Formula One. There's I just blew my mind. A huge amount of money and technical expertise and design and technology that goes into designing the cars and keeping the drivers at a particular weight. And it was fascinating. I felt like a behind the scenes view of what goes on in F1, and it was filmed at Silverstone, so right on our doorstep, and that felt really personal. And Martin Brundle was doing the broadcasting, so it felt like you were watching F1. Lewis Hamilton is the producer, and there are various cameos from various racing drivers, including Lewis Hamilton himself. So it feels very, very authentic. I really enjoyed it. As I said, I do love a great sports movie, and it did feel like a great sports movie. But as I said, it was really interesting to see how much goes into it. And it's a little bit of a cliche, and there's some bits that are a little bit American and uncomfortable when the team start to do well and they're all sort of cheering and stuff. We're Brits, we don't do that stuff, sort of like banging on the desk and going, yeah. We don't do that here. So that just felt a little bit incongruous, actually. But it's very good. It's a very good film, and even if you don't really like F1, but you like Brad Pitt's acting, because he really is very good in this, and you like a Jerry Bruckheimer film, who directed Top Gun. It's like Top Gun in cars, actually. That's the best way I can describe it. But F1 is a great sports movie, a great cast, just a great insight into the world of F1. And you're actually, the way it's filmed, you're actually in the car, and it was very loud, I have to say. I was feeling very ancient, but sitting in the car and you're going 300 kilometers an hour around those bends and everything, so you do feel like you're very immersed in it. But I say F1 is a great movie, and it's on at Cineworld, Milton Keynes. And last week I went to the V&A in London, and full disclosure, all my years of living in London, I've never been to the V&A. What an utter Philistine. Shocking, isn't it? I went with my friend Justine to see the Cartier exhibition, and it was so, so interesting. As someone who loves a bit of bling, Ta-da! This is on another level. I mean, tiaras that were just, you could almost feel the tiaras sort of weigh your head down. But the history of sort of the Cartier brothers and the legacy and the craftsmanship, they had videos of how they sort of put the stones into the tiaras. And just extraordinary, utterly mind-blowing. Sort of, Grace Kelly's necklace and Wallace Simpson's tiara, and so the history behind it was just utterly fascinating. And as I say, for someone who's such a magpie, I was in seventh heaven. It's all beautifully lit, of course. It's all about the lighting, and it was an extraordinary day actually. On the hottest day of the year, though, London is not to be recommended. But it was just wonderful to go to the V&A itself, and we had a tour, and we sort of we looked at some other sort of Persian carpet and some artwork, and a bed called the bed of ware or something. This is the biggest bed you've ever seen, and the tour guide was so interesting and so invested. I'm in awe of tour guides. I mean, the fact that they have all this knowledge at their fingertips and they can just talk. I mean, I guess that's what they do every day, but they're volunteers, and it was really, really interesting. And the great thing is that our museums are free. I did not know that, because I've not lived in London for so long, and only when I go to London I generally only go and see a show. But the V&A is so worth a visit, and they've got all these different sections and different countries and different cultures, and it was just incredible. But if you love bling, it was just absolutely amazing, and I'm going to put it on my stories, and you can see the video of some of these beautiful pieces of jewelry. But the V&A is so worth a visit. So a little bit of event news. Well, firstly, I just put an update on last week's wellness and wardrobe event that I did with Upstyle in Toddington. We had the best time. Honestly, I walked in there, and it was for a dopamine dresser, I was in seventh heaven. It was absolutely incredible. The sea of color, and it was wonderful talking to these the women who had attended it. It was fully booked. It was wonderful, and everyone was so invested. And I tried to treat my talks as kind of a bit of a Q&A. So I'm not just talking at them like a teacher. I was just saying, so what do you think, or any questions? And so rather than just talking and imparting all that information, sort of say, what body type do you think you are, or what colors do you think suit you? And the women were really, really invested, and I really, really enjoyed it. And we're going to do one in the autumn again. So that's really, really exciting. But coming up, I've got another event in the diary, and it's on the 16th of July, and it's for brides-to-be, which I know sounds a bit niche, actually. And you're probably thinking, oh my God, she's going off on yet another tangent. How many hats does this girl actually wear? I'll tell you why I'm doing this event. Many reasons, but I have a client who I took wedding dress shopping a couple of months ago, and this client does not like shopping. And you think, just because you're a woman doesn't necessarily mean you like shopping. It doesn't have to be in your DNA, shopping, fashion, the whole thing. So this particular client hates shopping, and I did all the research for her, found some great boutiques, and checked out some dress shapes, which, so I knew her shape, so I knew what she was after. And I found this amazing boutique in Newport Pagnell called Lauren Alexandra Bridal, and my bride, I'm delighted to say, chose her dress. She said yes to the dress in Lauren Alexandra, and she chose a day dress, a beautiful dress, which obviously I can't talk about it, and a lovely dress for the evening. And lots of brides are actually having two dresses, so just making the most of it. So anyway, so Lauren and I have got together, and we have arranged this event on the 16th of July, and I'm really excited. It's a bridal wellness event. It's a body positivity boost, and for me it was about ditching the pressure to shrink into the dress. I see so many brides who come in who just want to be thin on their wedding day. They want to look different, and I think, why do you want to look different in your wedding day? Because you're going to spend all that time, the lead up to your wedding, which is quite stressful anyway, trying to get into a dress. And then you've got the photographs to look back at when you have got to your ideal size and think, I don't look like that anymore, because inevitably, and it does happen, that after marriage, after the wedding day, people relax, shall we say. And I did it myself. I think I was 10 stone 3 on my wedding day, and probably, after a couple of kids and everything, a couple of stone have gone on, and then what you don't want to be doing is looking back going, oh my God, I looked so amazing. Of course you want to look amazing, but you don't want to not look like you. And if your natural body shape is a size 16 or a 20 or a 6 or whatever, then stay that way. Your fiance has fallen in love with you just the way you are. So ditch the pressure to shrink into the dress, because I guarantee when you look back at your wedding photos, you want to still be feeling the same and looking the same. You just want to look like a better version of you. So I'm going to be talking about that. I'm also going to talk about what color. So everyone thinks, oh, white or cream, but there's white, there's cream, there's ecru, there's ivory. There's so many different tones and shades that will suit your color type as well. So again, we're going to talk about that, and also what shape suits your body type. That's the most important thing. So it's a free event. I'm going to be having Lauren Alexandra, who is the owner of Lauren Alexandra Bridal, on my show next week. So we're going to talk about all things dresses, fashion, weddings. It's a very exciting subject. So if you know anybody who's getting married or thinking about getting married, who wants to come along to this wonderful event, the link is in my bio on my Instagram. We've got a makeup artist, we've got goodie bags. It's going to be a really, really fun event. And so this is the end of the first bit of the show, and I have an amazing guest coming up by the name of James Grimsey, who's an educator and vocal coach at Arts One. And I'm so thrilled to have you in the studio, James. It's been such a long time.
Oh, it's been so long. I love the fact you're back with your own show. I feel like the world needs more Nancy Stevens in their life. So thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I didn't pay you to say that, but that's
it's true. When I heard the show was coming back, I was just so excited, because I just think, with all the different topics that you're covering, it's just absolutely brilliant. So yeah, thank you for inviting me on.
Oh no, it's a pleasure. Honestly, I just you are, and I always get really emotional. And I remember on my last show I had you on, and I just to give some context. Yeah, we will talk about Arts One, because obviously Arts One is the reason you're here, and it's phenomenal. But I just need to give some context to why you're one of my favorite people in the world. So for those of you who don't know, James has been in our lives for 10, 15 years now, a long time. And in a previous life, when I was on another radio station, James came on my show to talk about Arts One, and the amazing pastoral care that they offer their students is second to none, apart from the fact that they, in my opinion, are the best performing arts, theatre, drama school, whatever you want to call it, in a 100-mile radius. There, I said it. But so anyway, so James was on my show, and Benji, my youngest son, for those of you who don't know, is a performer, and he was having a really tough time, and had fallen out of love with dance, and was at a college that was being, should we say, less than encouraging. And James said to me, get Benji to give me a call, and let's see what we can do. And in this industry, a lot of people say, give me a call, and they don't actually mean it, but James did. He actually followed up a couple of days later and said, I mean it, I really like to speak to Benji. Anyway, long story short, Benji went along to Arts One, did an audition, got a scholarship, and the rest is history. And James changed Benji's life, and obviously fast forward many years now. I mean, it's 5, 6, 7 years now. Gosh. Yeah, so yeah, he did 1 year with you at Arts One, which was one of the best years of his life. Yeah. Then he went to Addict, and but what you did at Arts One, and it's what you do for all your students, and I'm not saying Benji's any exception, is that you prepare for audition. You really do. And every single audition that Benji went for, he got. And I mean, that's obviously down to his talent, but that's also because you prepare your students beautifully. And as I say, your pastoral care is second to none, but you know the industry, you're industry experts, and that is, that's why he got offered all the colleges he did get offered. Then when he chose Addict, I was gutted, because I'm like, I've never heard of Addict, what is he doing? And I remember messaging, and you said he knows what he's doing, just leave it. And he did, and he absolutely did know what he was doing, and he went to Addict, and he had 3 great years there, and then went straight into Mamma Mia. Yeah. And I mean, that doesn't happen very often, does it?
No, and I think from where Benji started his journey as well, I think the range of work that Benji's done is really interesting and exciting, because it's really diverse. And yeah, I think when I said to you, oh, he knows what he's doing, it's because what I think is that a lot of schools are pinning successors on, I guess, like a production line. They're kind of like churning out people that tick boxes and, might have some form of success, which is great. What we're trying to do is fill out human beings, and we're trying to give them the opportunity, of course, to develop the skills in the most incredible way. I feel like that shouldn't every performing arts school be doing that, yes. But the main thing is understanding who they are. Do you know what are you passionate about? What kind of art do you want to make? What is it that, as a human being makes you tick? How are you going to sustain a career when you're not in work? What is it you get? All those things that are not the thing are actually the thing, because they're the things that keep you in an entrepreneurial mindset. They keep you happy at audition when you don't get it, and you don't get it, and you still don't get it, which is how the industry is. Unless you're that person, unless you are someone who knows what it is to have a freelance career, is happy to hustle, then ultimately this, the performing arts as a career is hard. And so for us, it's about lifting up individuals to become their best version.
Absolutely, and it is not for the faint-hearted. And you do prepare your students for the fact that you do have to hustle. You have to hustle. You have to have that mindset, because if you just say, oh, I just want to be on the stage, or I just want to do this, that's never gonna work, is it? And you prepped him, and as you prep all your students, and and as you say, he's done, he went straight into Mamma Mia, then he went into Panto, and then he, by his own admission, he had a fallow period of 7 months, and that in the industry, that's not a long period, but when you're in it, 7 months
it feels long,
very, very long time, and having to work in retail, and it's really tough. And as his mum had to sort of sit back and just watch, and he obviously taught at Arts One, and you guys have been super supportive, and then he got scouted to be in the boy band that he's in now. And I haven't talked about this on air at all because I haven't been allowed to, but now I can talk to you, because you're the best and the only person I want to talk to about is that now he's in this boy band called Control, and they are supporting the one and only Justin Timberlake. And it's
that's incredible, isn't it?
It's just mind-blowing. When he told me, he filmed my reaction, I went, no, and I actually did swear, but I did actually say, I cannot believe it. It's, that someone of Justin Timberlake's caliber would choose a boy band that has just been put together is incredible. So, but it's interesting that, from Arts One, Addict, Mamma Mia, Panto, No Work, a boy band. Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. What a journey. And he was in the studio last week, which was just so nice to see him again. And I met some of the other members of the band, which was wonderful. And he just seems so happy and, in a really great place. And I think that thing of the different types of jobs, that is the career for most people. I think some people, you have this firework career where you get one big job and then you might never do it again. Whereas I think, in truth, this industry is powered by people like Benji that are turning their hand, that are going job to job, learning about themselves as they go, adjusting their craft, learning different things. And that's what it's actually about.
Yeah, and again, it all goes back down to you, and I will never, ever, ever be able to thank you enough. And I know, Benji feels exactly the same, and I'm not going to cry, so we'll move swiftly on. Tell me why you set up Arts One.
So I think, we were just chatting about having the hustle as a performer, and when myself and my partner in life and work, Rebecca, started Arts One, we'd just graduated from drama school. We were in that stage of auditioning for shows and doing all this stuff, and we just needed a side hustle that would keep us kind of earning some money, doing what we loved. So it literally started one night a week in November 2006 at Ousdale School in Newport Pagnell, and 22 students turned up to that first night of musical theatre, and they included people like Paul Bullion, who's just recently performed in Mission Impossible, was on Peaky Blinders and in The Witcher, other kind of people who've gone into different careers. I know David Turl, who was in that first cohort, he's now I think a teacher at Portfield School, and people who've gone through that route. And David actually went on to our sixth form, kind of sort of fast forward 10 years for him. And so we started off as like part of a performer hustle, but that evolved quite quickly into something which was about creating a safe space for performers to grow their skills and as human beings. And over the last 10 years, so in 2015 we launched our full-time programs, it's really become about creating a safe educational space for people to develop and grow and work with the most incredible people. And that's now kind of the mission. So we have a degree program, which we'll talk about, but that's a 3-year degree in partnership with the University of Bedfordshire. That's subject to validation at the minute. We're just going through some final stages of that. And we've also got a sixth form program in partnership with Bedford College. And alongside that, we've got almost 1,000 young people taking part-time classes with us every week. So the building is filled with young people and aspiration. Yeah, and it's an amazing place to be. But the why right now is because we wanted to create an incredible space for people to develop their skills and to grow as human beings. And
you absolutely have achieved that 100-fold. There is everybody I speak to, and I meet people in the most random places. I meet people on the train, and everybody's heard of Arts One. It is the go-to place, and I bet all those years ago you could not have foreseen that. You are the go-to. Your Arts One is the first name on people's lips when they're thinking about performing arts. It's really lovely. I mean, it's still a little bit odd, but it's really lovely. I know when we first launched our full-time programs, we had
that first open day, and I say this at open days, we had the first, set of parents turn up that we were trying to say, hey, we're going to launch a full-time sixth form. No one's done this before. Come join us on this journey. And thankfully some people did. And I say now it's easier to have that conversation because we've got proof of concept. But in that first year, we had students like Mateo Johnson, who's in Moulin Rouge at the minute. I've just seen this morning on our socials that he's on a billboard.
I saw that.
So I was like, that's cool.
Mind-blowing.
I know. And obviously we've got Ivano Turco, who was Jamie New, and everybody's talking about Jamie, and he's just about to release some new music, which is all really cool. But these were all in our very first cohort. They jumped on board when we had no proof of concept. Now to have all the applicants and all the inquiries, and everything's really busy and exciting, and we've got a sort of a national reach. It's really humbling, but really nice. And like I say, it doesn't change what we do it for. We still do it for the same reason. But it's lovely to know that people know about us, and that in some way the mission's resonating, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the fact is that you've expanded exponentially, really. I mean, probably beyond you could never have foreseen this all those years ago, that now, I mean, last year you went through the painstaking and very painful and difficult decision, but the right decision to move premises. I mean, that was it last year or the year before?
We moved in April last year.
Yeah, I mean, that was one hell of a move.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big step for us, and so whilst we've sort of grown in a lot of ways, but actually not in others. So our student numbers haven't really changed in terms of our full-time program. So we still work with really small cohorts. That's something we're really passionate about. So we only work with around sort of 20 to 30 degree students each year. Our sixth form cohorts are around sort of a similar size. So that's always really small. But the studios, yes, we moved last year, and we kind of went from something which was around sort of 6,000 square feet to something which is about 24,000 square feet. So it was a bit silly, but an amazing step. And the new premises are incredible. We've got a studio theatre, an incredible cafe which is supplied by Carlo Scarito from Milk and Beans Coffee, who's a local roaster who's got a coffee shop over the way. And we've got air-conditioned studios, 8 of them, sprung floors, lovely library space. It's a really beautiful building and a great environment for people to learn, and I think environment's so important.
Absolutely. And I just love the buzz of when you walk in there. It's just this, the excitement is palpable, and people are just, rehearsing and doing whatever they're doing on a daily basis, and you're probably quite immune to it, but it is really exciting when you go in there. The atmosphere of people creating, the whole process of creating is just, it's extraordinary, isn't it? It's
joyful, and it's at a time where I think sometimes schools don't look like the most inviting environments to be in. Like, you look at some schools and they can, like, they have got cages on the outside, or you go into a school and every door's controlled by a buzzer you can't access. You get, like, it feels quite, they're very controlled environments. Our space is about young people having complete autonomy. They can come into our space and they own their journey, and they have a sense of ownership of who they are, what they want to do, obviously guided by amazing people, but in truth this is about enabling them to be their own human and to give them the space to do that. And I think at a time where I think, a lot of schools are really about kind of control, we're about facilitation and opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about being you and being true to yourself. So James, tell me about all the courses that you are offering.
Yeah, so we've got 3 real areas of the school. We've got the part-time school, which is classes from age 3 up to 103, so from young children all the way through to adults. We've got actually a really big adult community of over 100 people taking part in classes, which is amazing. We've also then got our full-time courses. So we've got our sixth form program, and that's in 3 specialist areas. We have an acting program, acting for stage and screen. We have a dance course, which is about training dancers, and then we've got a musical theatre program, which is about training people who want to pursue a career in musical theatre. And then finally, we've got our degree program, which launched last year, and that's a 3-year BA Honours degree in partnership with the University of Bedfordshire.
Amazing. And again, I guess you couldn't have thought all those years ago when fledgling business, that you'd be offering a degree.
No, I'm going to say no, but I'm also going to say I do know that, when you start a business, you have all these, like, I don't know, you get business advice and you have these meetings and things, and we were asked to draw out like this diagram of, like, can you draw the picture of what this is? And when we drew that picture, I still remember in those very early days we had we had a sort of a degree program, and we had like an agency, and we had like all these, we had them all as different things, and we had a building in the middle of it, and I think it wasn't close enough to be a reality, but I think we had the ambition to do something amazing with it. And I should just say, really, all those things I've just listed are only possible because of the team of people that we work with. So from our cleaners all the way through up to our teachers and senior leadership, we have a team of about 60 people that do so many amazing things and are part of that culture. And that's what gives us as a school the capability to do the amazing things, because that environment and culture is powered truly by the people in it, and that's staff and students.
And it really is a family run business. It feels like it. It's deeply personal, and obviously I've got my own links, but my sister's a cleaner. She's been cleaning for Arts 14, it feels like forever. And as you know, I've seen how you look after your staff, but I've also seen how you look after your pupils, and not many businesses can actually say that hand on heart to do what you do, which is quite special. I
think it is personal to us. It is myself and Rebecca. We are a husband and wife team, and it's not a family business in that the family have run it forever and one of us is only there because we have to be. Truly, we created this concept together, so that makes it a bit special, and we're just not in it for, I think, the same reasons as most other people. I think that's why our brand feels different, is because we're not really interested in the thing most people are. We're really interested in the people. We're interested in the opportunity and the potential. And so when it comes to things like our courses, when we created this new degree course, that's the easier thing to talk about because it's the newest thing. The people we have working on that are just the most incredible people. In terms of our acting team, we have Alison Ava Brown, who is the longest running Angelica Schuyler from the West End production of Hamilton. She's coaching on some of the improvisation and acting stuff. The acting lead is Rowan Tickle. Rowan was the acting lead at Arts Educational School on their musical theatre degree program for 7 years. He's about to do a one-man show in America, which he's flying back to do a performance at the Royal Albert Hall in the middle of. He's sort of, that Arts Educational School course was the top school for 10 years. When we look at our singing department, that's me. I look after that. But my background is I've worked with clients like Samantha Barks, who's just had her performance of Elsa in Frozen go live on Disney Plus. That's the live show version. With Little Mix on the X Factor, and I've spent 20 years coaching voices and teaching people how to work their instrument using something called the Estel voice training model, which is very technical, boring. Well, not boring, really interesting if you're me, but boring to most people. It's about science, acoustics, physiology, and how we can transform voices. And then on the dance front, Amy Henderson looks after that, and she's our course leader. Amy's got a background of working in all different conservatoires, sort of training as a dancer, but then as an educator. And it's about all those people that make it able for us to deliver such incredible product.
It is incredible. And the thing is, because of who you are, firstly, I just want to say, you're right, it doesn't feel like a business. It doesn't feel commercial. Obviously, it's commercial because you're running a business. We've
got bills to pay, and actually, students wouldn't have the opportunities unless there was money. So that's why when I say about the people, the finance team is as important as the marketing team, is as important as the cleaning team, is as important as the teaching team, because if any one of those departments fell down, we couldn't have the capacity to do the things we're doing.
But I say it doesn't feel mercenary. It doesn't feel like it's a commercial venture. It feels, first and foremost, it's family. It's pastorally embracing, and that's that's the secret of your success, isn't it? It really is.
I think we're an authentic brand. We're a brand that has a true voice that is connected to mission, and I say this as the person who does the open days. I sort of do all these open days for all the different courses. It's the easiest sell in the world, because I just stand there and just say, well, this is what we do and why we do it, and if it doesn't work, we change it, and that's kind of it. And all I get to do is list all the cool things we get to do, and it's not a difficult sell. There's no trick. There's no gotcha. It's authentic and it's true. And the students that we work with become part of that mission and then take that forward, which is why now we've got that reputation, I think, because people feel it and it's not just commercial.
So tell us about some of the young people that you're working with.
Yeah, it's really, really inspiring. We work with young people of all levels. So I just, reflecting on the first part of our chat, probably made it sound like you had to be an Olivier Award winner to walk into our studio. But the truth is that performing arts training is for everybody. So whether you're an adult who's looking to learn a skill, we've got things like an adult choir, we've got adult ballet classes, adult tap classes, all kinds of things. Or you're 3 years old and you're taking your first steps into ballet, or maybe you're a teenager who loves to dance but hasn't had any opportunity to do that, then maybe our sort of street dance classes might be the thing. The point is the arts are for everyone, and as a school we pride ourselves in access and having a space for anybody who's interested in developing their skills to come to an environment where you're going to be facilitated to do that. And as part of that, we get to work with incredible young people, and they can be in our full-time programs or even in our part-time school, who are doing all kinds of lovely things. So we've just had some of our competitive festival team who go to dance festivals and compete. They've just qualified some of their work for an all-England dance competition, which is really brilliant. We've had a student from our full-time just announced, well, she's actually just started in Hamilton as Woman One, so that's Daisy Ward. She's just literally started last week in Hamilton, which is, again, an amazing credit. I'm just like, such a hard show to get into, and a lovely track, and Daisy's wonderful. She trained on our sixth form, which is just really, really nice. And a lot of the cruise lines, we've got people going on to all those places. But like I say, we're working with students at every part of their journey, and whether that's some of our part-time students are doing their like singing exams or their piano exams or those kind of things, which are just lovely little achievements. I know we're going to talk about sort of our productions and things like that. We've got The Little Mermaid coming up into end of July, beginning of August, and that's part of an annual series of shows where we've done things like Matilda last year. We did Frozen the musical. Again, that's another space where anybody can come and take part. So that has quite a big reach in terms of the local area, I think, because of the shows have a really fantastic production value. So we work with a theatre designer and completely transform the space. So we, for Frozen, we didn't quite have snow machines. But
honestly, that's just not good enough.
Almost. We had like low smoke and fans that cleared the space. We had really fantastic lighting and all these kind of things. And the production standard is absolutely amazing. I think the parents that haven't seen that go to the show. I think they think they're walking into a school hall to see a kind of like demonstration, and then they kind of arrive and it's a bit like a West End theatre and they're a bit confused. But that's always part of the thing. We work with a local designer called Sam Franch, and he does the most incredible theatre designs. And again, talking about team, which is the theme of the conversation, part of our success as a brand, as a school, is that not only is it about the people inside the school that are collaborating and the teachers, it's about those incredible creatives that are in our lighting departments. Our main lighting designer is Jack Weir. He lights the What's on Stage Awards. We have Mike Crofts, who looks after our sound. He writes for Sound on Sound magazine. But essentially, this kind of collaboration of incredible people is what makes it sort of possible. And that goes, makes the access at all levels, really.
And I think also the fact that, you are so established and the go-to place, people want to work with you. And that's the great thing, is that, you are super established. Now you can call on industry experts and they're going to like, yes, we absolutely want to work with Arts One.
Yeah, and do you know what? That's totally our experience, which is humbling. But I think it's the only way that, with the new degree course, and it's the only way we've been able to attract those people, is because they walk into the building and they feel it. And it's not about just, a contract or a deal or a thing. They walk in, they're like, this is really cool, because a lot of these people could be working anywhere. So it's not just about us booking somebody. It's a two-way sell. We're saying, come and work with these people. Just to give a couple of examples, we have 2 industry mentors that we work with that are part of our link to industry. We've got Nikki Wollaston, she was the resident director of Old Friends at the Sondheim, at the Gielgud Theatre, and that was like working with like Leah Salonga, and all of these kind of incredible A-list musical theatre people. But she's currently the resident director on the arena tour of Les Miserables, so she's currently in Australia with that at the same time, she's the choreographer on Joseph, and she's our industry liaison on our degree. So she will be doing all of the hookups between our students and the industry. Someone else, John Rigby, he's currently on School of Rock as the musical supervisor, but he's musically supervised most of Andrew Lloyd Webber's shows. He was the musical director of Phantom of the Opera in Riyadh, which was the first musical production in that area, and that was last year. But these people are our supporters, and like I say, more than staff, our supporters. They're people that work with us on a daily, because they feel they are as passionate about the arts and people as we are, and so them attaching themselves to our mission, it's a two-way thing.
And James, we've had so much to talk about, and we could probably talk and wax lyrical about Arts
days.
for days and days. So you've got some exciting dates coming up. We're going to talk about socials. Anything else you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, I guess we've got quite a bit coming up. So a couple of things to highlight. For our part-time school students, we've had a new project just launched called the ATP, which is the Advanced Training Programme, and that's where those serious students who are in our part-time school can train once a month with an amazing team of industry practitioners. It's a place for them to extend their skills. So that's been really lovely. And it's only in its third week, third session. So it's in its infancy, but it's had a really fantastic uptake. And those students they're training really hard on our Sunday once a month. But I guess in terms of things upcoming, we've got The Little Mermaid, which is, I mean, if for anyone that doesn't know The Little Mermaid, it's a beautiful, beautiful show. And we're doing the Disney Junior version. And that's a cast made up of young people from the age of 4 all the way up to kind of 17, 18 years old. And it's something that people kind of just signed up for and have booked onto. So it's not sort of auditioned or selected. It's something for everybody. And we do this every year. And we performed that on the 9th and 10th of August in our studio theatre. So we do have a large studio theatre at the school in our premises, and that seats up to about 130 people, which is really lovely. And as I mentioned, we work with that theatre designer, Sam, who transforms the space. And guess this year it'll be an underwater theme. There'll be, I'm seeing kind of seaweed and nets and stuff, but ultimately it's all costumed professionally. We're actually bringing back and this might resonate with any listeners that were part of Arts One many moons ago, but we're bringing back some of the costumes that we used in our first production of The Little Mermaid, which I'm going to guess would have been in about 2011, 2012. It might have been just around that period. And those costumes, so when you run a theatre school, any theatre school owner will know this, you kind of build up a collection of stuff from shows, and storing that becomes quite a thing. We currently have a huge costume store, which is great, but back then we didn't. So these costumes, this particular vintage, have lived in Rebecca's parents' loft until last weekend, where we pulled down an Ursula costume, which is beautiful, but it has human-operated tentacles, so it's like a puppet as well as an actual costume. We've got an Ariel tail, which is all kind of like wired through and beautiful, and a Sebastian the crab outfit, complete with a bright orange bowler hat. And these things came out of the loft, and we're going to build them back into the show. So that's on the 9th and 10th of August. And if you haven't seen an Arts One show, the production standard's incredible, and it's a real spectacle. And then looking forward for the other parts of our school in September and October, we're back into our full recruitment for our full-time courses. So if you're a student in year 10 or 11 and you're looking to study the performing arts, and you're looking for a sixth form course, we've got open days. We've got a joint open day on the 25th of October with our degree course, and that's a chance for you just to come and meet the team, see what we do. The sixth formers are treated to an over an hour talk by me. It's almost as long as a football match, but it
way more interesting, I would have said.
I mean, everyone does say how great it is, so I'll take the review. Maybe they don't say that behind my back, but I do pre-warn people. But it's where you get to learn everything you need to know about vocational training post-16, how to make that choice. I think it's useful for parents who are trying to work out, my child wants to be a dancer, but what does that look like? I thought there's no work. It's really stressful. I get to explain how the industry works, and you get to take part in workshops, hang out in our cafe. That's the best bit.
Oh yeah, your cafe is legendary.
Shout out to Cameron that runs that, and to Carlos Garito, who's our coffee bean supplier from Milk and Beans. And But it's a great chance to meet all the team. And we've also got our first degree open day on that day. So we historically haven't run many of these. It's our second one ever. But as we get busier and busier with inquiries, we wanted to just really bring people into our space. So if you are in A-levels and you're looking for somewhere to train full-time, our musical theatre degree course is a course that's balanced equally in dance, in singing, in acting, and has the most incredible team and connection to industry. So it's free of charge. Come hang out, listen to us, take part in some classes, see some of our amazing students. We've been blessed with the most incredible first year of our cohort in our degree. They are so invested as being the OGs, the people that were there in that first year group. They are our best ambassadors, and they completely sell it, which is really lovely because that's also the culture. So that's what's coming up. I guess you're going to ask me about socials, aren't you?
Yes, please.
I feel like it's just an infomercial.
It's all about the socials.
So you can find us online. On Instagram, we are at Arts1SOP, and that SOP, people wonder what that is. That's SOP. It stands for School of Performance.
I thought it was Sopranos.
Right, everyone's a soprano, Nancy, come on. No, it's because when we first started, we were Arts One School of Performance, and now as we have more of a brand, we're Arts One. So at Arts One SOP is where you find us on Instagram. Our full-time courses are actually on a different handle. They're at Arts One MK. And on Facebook, you'll find us on at Arts One School of Performance. But if you type Arts One, we pretty much come up nowadays. So that's great.
The power of the internet, though.
Right.
Thank you, James. As always, an absolute pleasure. I think it's the first interview we've done where I've actually not cried, because I always cry because I'm so indebted to everything.
I'll take that as a compliment, I think.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. Yeah. You made me cry in a good way, in a happy, grateful way. And as I said, to reiterate, I cannot ever explain how much Arts One has meant to Benji and to us, as a family. Just incredible. So for anybody out there who's thinking about, as you say, dipping your toe in any form of performing arts, whether you've done it before or whether you're lacking confidence, it's a great confidence booster. Arts One is phenomenal. So I'm your biggest fan, I think, probably. Thank you so much for being such a great guest. It's been an absolute joy, as always.
Wonderful. Nancy, so grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, James. This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show. So it's been great to have James on. We've had a very interesting chat. Next week, I'm going to be talking to Lauren Alexandra of Lauren Alexandra Bridal about our upcoming event and all things wedding. If you'd like to be a guest on my show, you can pop yourself on the waiting list, drop me an email or drop me a DM on _NancyMK_. This is the Nancy Stevens Lifestyle Show. Have an amazing week.